Hello, I'm Nahana from Smoky Mountain Farmhouse here in Zone 7A, and today we are going to be planting some peonies. This is the Pro 5 weed barrier from Johnny's. Being this is a permanent perennial flower bed, we wanted a landscape fabric that was durable and would prevent any weeds from growing in this area. Typically you would hold this down using some landscape fabric staples, but the wind up here on the mountain can be pretty intense, and we've had some failed experiences using those in the past. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to roll this out and line it with rocks that we've gathered throughout our property, and that will work perfect in holding this down and kind of act as a decorative border at the same time. So once we get that done, we can start burning some holes in the fabric and get those peonies in the ground. So I got the weed barrier rolled out and all the rocks laid around the edges. Now I'm going to burn holes in the areas I want to plant the peonies. The reason you want to burn holes is because cutting will create fraying in the fabric. Burning will sear off those edges, so that won't happen. I'm going to trace this metal pan lid that I got out of our camping gear. You want to pick out something that is smaller than your intended hole, because your hole is going to kind of expand larger than what you trace, because it's going to kind of burn off. So I'm going to lay this down where I want to burn my first hole, and you want to plant peonies 3 feet apart. These yellow lines on this fabric indicate 1 foot. So in this front row here, I'm just going to do 4, and in the back row I'm going to do 3, and then this is going to be filled in later on, but right now I have 7 to plant in this area. So I'm going to turn this on, light it. And then cut it off. This is a good example to show you how the hole will burn larger than the piece of metal that you're tracing. Underneath here you can see that the fabric left over is the same exact size as this metal lid, but all the way around the edge there is about an inch gap where the fabric melted away. This is okay for when we plant the peonies, because you want the hole to be about the size of as a dinner plate, so it'll work out perfect. But always keep that in mind when you're picking out something that you're going to use to trace with the torch. So the first variety I'm going to plant in this bed is called Honey Gold. I have 3 of them. I already planted 1. Here I have dug our second hole, and as you can see, each peony root is different, very different. So you want to dig your hole to accommodate what root ball you have, but you only want to have about 1 inch to 2 inches of soil above your eyes. So some holes have to be deeper than others, some have to be wider than others. It really just depends. But what I do is I just kind of gently grab the root and I check to see if that hole's good enough. If it's not, I set it aside, dig it out a little bit more, one direction or the other. But you're going to want it to be about, I don't know, 12 inches in diameter and several inches deep, probably 8 inches deep or so that you know that these roots are going to fit. They're going to go, you know, deeper and wider. Each one will be different. So I'm going to set this down in this hole. I checked it already once, and I'm going to make sure that all of it So the next varieties of peonies that we're going to plant are called Coral Charm and Duchesse de Nemours. It is a mix from Eden Brothers called Peaches and Cream. Now all of these have been stored in our basement as we've been waiting for all of them to arrive and as we've been preparing these beds. And for some reason, this particular bag decided to sprout. Now I've never had this happen before, so if you have experience, let me know in the comments. But the eyes are just gorgeous on these, and they all started to open. So I don't know if this is going to have any effect on putting them in the ground. I don't know what else you would do with them because they need to get into the ground. We are going to mulch over this soon, just with a thin layer, and add some compost as well. So I'm going to bury these, I don't know, I guess about 2 inches. They recommend 1 to 2 inches, so I'm going to try to go the full 2 inches to kind of keep that nice and insulated in the ground. So I'm going to dig these holes out and put these in, and we'll be done with this bed for now. And we'll see what happens. So in this peonies bed, we planted a pastel mix from Eden Brothers. Now I don't actually know what is in that mix, so we're gonna have to wait until they bloom to find out. It does take peonies a couple of years to bloom, so we do have a little while to wait, but I guess that's part of the excitement. So here we planted 10 of those. I spaced them 3 feet apart. And in the back, I opened up a few more holes where we're gonna be planting some pastel phlox. Those don't arrive till the spring. So once they do arrive, we will add those to those spaces. Now, the idea is that the peonies will be blooming in the springtime and the phlox will be blooming in the summertime. And that way, it'll always have something blooming in this bed. we're going to finish lining this with rock. Put a little compost in all the spaces that we planted because peonies are heavy feeders. And then we're going to put a thin layer of mulch over the top. We're going to do the same thing to the bed, the other bed that's next to the driveway. And then we will be done with these 2 peonies beds here. So in total, we have 10 peonies here, and we planted 7 in the other bed up there. And then we have some throughout our landscape. So we have planted a total of 25 peonies for this season. And we are pretty excited about that. It, like I said, does take a little while for them to produce flowers. So it being our first year as cut flower farmers, we wanted to get some of those established so they will be ready to produce soon. So this is where I'm going to be planting those Bowl of Beauty peonies that we recently opened from an order. I'll link that unboxing video here, but we already have a couple here in the middle, and I'm going to add those 2 that we just got to either side. This ledge here used to be filled with bushes. We chopped all those down, and we're adding hydrangeas up at the top. We already planted 2, so we'll be filling a hedge of hydrangeas and adding some yarrow and allium and some lavender. Here we have some lamb's ear, but we got to add a little mulch, and I'm going to go ahead and stick these peonies into the ground, and then that will be all of our peonies. We hope you enjoyed coming along as we planted peonies for cut flowers. We look forward to sharing more with you as our small farm grows. Thank you for watching. Say hi. Hi. Huh? What did you do? You don't know? You don't know?